My album, Alter Ego, which came out April 30th of this year, has been submitted by my label for 5 Jazz Grammys. Now, this does not mean it's nominated. There's quite a long process until that point, but it does mean that people have the music in their hands, and it means that I'm allowed to make a little poster and tell people, hey, you want to have this nominated? Now you can. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to play 3 or 4 songs from Alter Ego while also playing some songs where I'm going to sing, and we'll have some fun together. For Your Consideration events happen throughout the year, generally right around Grammy voting. There's first round voting right now, which is people who literally today opened up their ballots and said, oh, who's available to vote for? And then I think November 23rd, they will announce the nominees. Then there will be a whole nother round of For Your Consideration parties and events and all this stuff. So this is hopefully the first of a couple FYC events we'll be doing on stream. And I'll be using this as a way to invite people to hear some of these songs live. Let's go right into a song from Alter Ego. So part of what was fun on this album is I was in the studio warming up. I didn't realize that Chris had turned on the tape machine. And again, we were recording to his Ampeg. His Studer. What am I talking about? Anyway, so we were recording, and I didn't know it. So I was just warming up. So I didn't play the head of anything. I didn't play an actual song. I was just like messing around. And then Chris goes, hey man, I just caught that on tape. And so what it was All the Things You Are minus the head. So on this album, it's called Things You Aren't. Oh, what's up, Expire? How you doing? Expired MILF, what a name. So anyway, this song's gonna require no looping because it's intended to be quite understated. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. So this next piece is Oleo. So we're going to start by playing a pretty classic jazz song. We're going to flip it on its head. When we were doing the recordings for Alter Ego, the whole idea was to take what we have done as a trio, Gene, Jerry, and myself, and we wanted to get a horn player that we're comfortable with, that we love playing with. So, of course, Katisse Buckingham was the perfect choice. What we were trying to do is, we've done so many sessions together, jazz gigs with, whether it's John DeVersa or, man, there's so many people we've recorded, Eli, like Brueggemann. We've done a lot of sessions together, and playing with Russell, playing with whatever, just so many friends. And what I learned from that is that when there's sheet music in front of us, it's amazing, all of us can sight read, we all have fun doing that, we're all on the same page. But there was always something that happened at the end of the shows, whatever show we're playing on, 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m., where the charts were thrown away, or we were in some free jazz section and we were too tired to obsess over, okay, after this free jazz section, we have to really make sure we hit those, sextuplets in bar 2, that's in 7/4. There's a lot of that sort of stuff going on, which is amazing and fun. But there was a magic that would happen when there was no sheet music in our head. And that was always what I was curious about capturing. And I had told Jerry and Gene for years, I'm going to put up some money, we're going to go and record straight to tape. We are not doing this on anything digital, because we have sort of a modern sound, and I want to pair that with the vintage process, number one. Number two, no charts allowed. Like, I know all of us have songs, we're not doing that. Let's be as free as possible while creating logic, and melodies and all that stuff. So the only piece that I brought in, I was like, I really want to do this, though, with a proper arrangement, was Oleo. I'd been messing around with this for a few months, just having fun going chromatically between different sections in the song. And I presented it to them and said, hey, man, I'm not going to give you a chart. I'm not going to force everyone to stare at stuff, but let's quickly just use our ears and let me play you the song the way I've arranged it. And let's have a free section where Katisse and I are just dancing around each other. Am I comping? Am I soloing? Is he comping for me melodically? Or is he soloing? Just that sort of free conversation thing. I find that acting is wonderful when the words are written. A play, a movie, it's awesome. I also find human conversation that's unscripted to be very compelling. Just talking to friends about ideas and sharing ideas and challenging each other. Jazz, on this album, in what I consider to be almost its purest form, is about the free conversation. Very little scripting happened. So all this is, I'm going to play you Oleo right now, and there's going to be some bones, and then we're going to have some fun with it. I hope you enjoy my arrangement of Oleo. It goes like this. right, that was Oleo. That's the arrangement of Oleo. Now that song, it's a little hard to put out the full band as far as the way we did it on the record, because we were, comping along each other and all that stuff. And obviously, as you can imagine, doing a song like that up tempo where there is some sort of looping to convey stuff, I obviously could have just gone straight up Joe Pass, which might have made more sense, but I wanted the arrangement to be a little clearer. But there's a sterileness, whatever, from that. So if you guys liked that, please check out the record. Please check out Alter Ego and listen to Oleo on that. But that song is up for Best Arrangement Instrumental or Acapella. So that's the first song that we're playing tonight that is directly up for nomination in the Grammys. Let's get back into the Alter Ego stuff. We're going to play Brain Freeze. Oh, I see. Huh. What happened to my loop? What the heck, dude? Hold on. Oh, there it is. Let's try that again. Let's make it bassier anyway. Some of these songs are hard to play because the whole idea was it's how we're communicating together, Jerry, Gene, and me. But let's give this a shot. 1, 2, 3. And that was my best attempt at brain freeze without Jerry and Gene. But anyway, that song is the first song on Alter Ego. So again, if there are any FYC people watching that are curious about what's going on here and they're watching this concert, that song was the first song we recorded in the studio. I brought in the general bones. I was like, oh man, I want to do something with some parallel major stuff, because it's actually hard to solo over depending on the tempo and the arrangement. But I was like, oh man, that'd be fun. We just go kind of nuts on this, because then we can blend this somewhat modern sound, like a somewhat rock and roll sound, with just like way too much movement, and see how that helps us bounce off each other. So I brought that in, and then once we started playing that riff, Katisse was like, he played a melody that I didn't play right now. Then Gene was like, hey man, what if we like keep going between 4/4 and 6/8 and 4/4 and 3/4? And I was like, oh man, that sounds hard as crap. Let's do it. And so part of the fun of this record was we didn't it wasn't like we didn't have time to shed those changes or those rhythm meter changes. It was just like, we're writing this song in the studio, we're trying to make sure we're free and spontaneous, and then bam. Let me tell a story about this album. So when we made this album, it was a little while ago. I was doing some shows in Japan, and I looked at my calendar when I have these 3 days free when I'm in town, and I would like to sleep, but I can sleep in Japan. And so I reached out to Jerry and Katisse, Jerry and Gene, and I was like, man, can we go in? And when we got in there, Gene was down to use some crazy drum stuff that we had at the studio, because the whole vision for this record was really based on relationship, like conversation musically, and tone. Because a lot of jazz records are recorded in a similar way these days. It's amazing. It's very elegant and beautiful, but oftentimes it's a really specific type of ribbon microphone, or it's recorded on a really nice 192 kilohertz desk. It's all about being transparent and clean. Filth in a jazz recording is not usually welcomed. I like it filthy. I like some grit. I like some personality that's not just revealing how the instruments sound acoustically, but some sort of effectiveness. Which is why my brother mixing and mastering this was like the perfect combo, because we share similar taste. Like that tone you're hearing right now, that's like a weird Mellotron thing I have, and Reeve did some cool stuff with the reverbs and splashing things left and right, so all that stuff. So anyway, the fun story is that we all came kind of out of our comfort zone, but in a positive way. So I used an amp I'd never used before on a recording, the Sigmund Sound King. Gene used a kit that he had never used before. Jerry was experimenting, and that's why the album sounds sort of jazz adjacent in a way that I like. All right, listen to the ending of this. Let's turn this up, and let's see if you can catch this Easter egg, because a lot of people don't listen to the end. I don't even know if we were recording. I forgot to say hi to Chris. It's a true story. So when we came in that day, I just started warming up, and I played on the amp, and we were just warming up, and that solo happened, that sound. The reason why Katisse isn't on that song is because we had just started that day. He couldn't come for a few hours. So I just like, let's throw it up. But I didn't even say hi to Chris. I didn't say, hey man, good morning. I just came in, started practicing, and then we started grooving. And then I was like, oh man, I wonder if we, I didn't say hi to Chris. And then that take was genuinely live and genuinely improvised. And I thought, oh, that's funny that we're putting this up for Best Improvised Solo, because obviously people are improvising in the jazz world, obviously. You can tell when you hear a recording, like, oh, that's a comp solo. But I'm happy with that. I like that it turned out that way. So we're going to play another song from Alter Ego right now. We're going to play Alter from the album Alter Ego. Now, part of this, the reason I like this song is what we did is we did 2 takes of the same song. And the idea behind this album was it's really free. It's really improvised. So we did take one, and I was like, great, that sounded cool. Let's do another take. We did take two. I was like, wow, that's a really different approach. And as I was sifting through the material, I was like, what exactly should I do with these? Because I guess maybe I could just say take two or take one and maybe save it for like a bonus album one day, like a vinyl. I will add the second take. And as I was listening back and forth, I looked over at Adriana, who co-produced the album with me. I decided, what if instead of having take one and take two and having to leave one off or save it for a bonus record, what if we called it Alter and Ego, and then we did the same thing with Lost and Found. They sound so different. They're such different performances of the same free improv. That's the vision. So this is Alter. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. This next song is the final one we're going to play. It's very groovy. This is the song I co-wrote with Mark Foster. So Mark was hanging out. We were in this studio in my room, and he came over to hang out, and I said, man, I'm trying to write some songs, and we thought we were going to write a song for my vocal music, or for his vocal music. You know, Pro knows this. You know, you're just hanging out, and you write a song, and you produce something together, and who knows who's going to use it. So we're here, and I showed him this little hook, which I know a lot of you know. This is by far the most listened to song on the record. It was on State of Jazz's Spotify playlist. It was on a crossover playlist, which I think it's still on that. It's like a Japanese jazz playlist. It was on 21st Century Jazz playlist, New Jazz. It was like all these different jazz playlists. So this song obviously gained some somewhat of a listening and following. So you know this. Everyone here knows this, I'm sure. Whoops. You guys know this. So, I had no melody. And I had come up with that. This is a true story. I think I'm allowed to say this. So this is the 4-year consideration concert. So I'm giving the story behind these songs. So, I was here with John Mayer and Thundercat had come over to this room because I wanted to connect them. And, Steven was coming back from Australia and John was in town. So John never come over here. So I was like, hey, let's come over and hang out. So we were sitting here, and I just started playing this with the Pitchfork. So I have a video somewhere in my photos of like a camera just passing by that like my sister grabbed because I was like, hey, grab this. I want to remember this melody. So it's there. And then we ended up jamming a day or two later at Hotel Cafe, and there's a video, whatever, online for that. Fun in the comments section. It's like, this guy can't play guitar about me, which is tight, dude. That was not, I like reading that. But anyway, so we were hanging out. So now a couple years have passed, and I'm like, dude, I have this idea. I feel like Mark would get this, maybe help me write it. So he came up with this melody. And then we didn't have anything else. We weren't sure. I was like, that's a great melody. That's cool. And then he came up with I came up with these chords. So we came up with it together. He did most of the melody. I did most of the chords. And we went in the studio. I was like, I don't know, guys, I think this is something. I texted Mark, man, is it cool if we use that song for like my jazz record? It's like, whatever, sure, man. That was kind of random, but I like it, and I don't know if we're gonna add lyrics, and it seems like we could use one song on this record because Alter and Ego, free, Lost and Found, free. Oleo's an arrangement I came with where like the whole point of it was the solo section to be free. Brain Freeze was kind of composed, but we came up with it in the studio. I was like, it might be nice to have like one song. So I brought it to them, and we weren't sure if the sax was making sense on the melody. We obviously did the sax on the melody in the concert film, but because I couldn't do 8 hands at once. But on the record, it's obviously guitar. It turned out really nicely. And then I'm like, Gene, you got to do a solo on this record, dude. So he came up with the idea. He's like, what if you guys do some like weird rhythmic stuff with the chords at the end? So this turned into... And then I came up with... So it was a very collaborative process. That's why if we are lucky enough to be nominated for Best Instrumental Composition with this song, it'll, everyone, all 5 of us will be the writers, which is really exciting. So, it's time now to play Pitchfork, which is up for Best Instrumental Composition. Hope you like it. Imagine I clicked the right button. Something like that. So that's the 4-year consideration thing. There it is. We did it. I'm so excited just about having an album that my label believed in and believes in, that my mixing mastering engineer brother believes in, that I believe in. I'm really happy. I'm really proud of this album. And I'm passionate about free freaking improv. I'm passionate about having a musical conversation in real time with genius musicians. I'm passionate about accidentally, because I just like to be in the spirit. I don't like to think about it too directly sometimes, accidentally subverting norms. I like that. I like it. I'm having fun doing it. So this album's really just a nice way to introduce people who know me from pop settings to who I really am. So the 5 categories we submitted in are Best Jazz Album, Best Improvised Jazz Solo, Best Instrumental Composition, which is Pitchfork. That was written by my good friend Mark Foster and me, and Katisse and Gene and Jerry during the sessions also offered ideas, so we all co-wrote that together. So it's up for that, Best Instrumental Composition. We're up for, well, we're not up for it yet, but we're submitted for Best Arrangement, Instrumental or Acapella. We're for Oleo. And then we're submitted for Best Engineered Album Non-Classical, which obviously is a huge thing. There's like probably thousands submissions for that. But we figured we'd submit it because we're really proud of the process we did with live tape and all that stuff. And you can hear the drums, like the compression settings and all that stuff, live, vintage, or analog stuff. So we got a lot of press for this album, like a surprising amount. And this takes you to my website. So this is what I want you guys to click on just for fun, if you want to see the history of this album. So what it has is press clippings, and when you click on them, it goes to that review, that album review. Or if you're like checking out the Best of Jazz, which is a great thing. I'm very grateful that they put us up here. You can read the press about this and what they thought. The album clearly proves that throughout its 9 tracks, the quartet managed to keep surprising and captivating our attention. Very nice reviews, very kind support for the album. So it has this. It also has just press, not reviews. Jazz Guitar Today wrote us up. Guitar.com. The Sydney Morning Herald did a fun review that actually, if you can see right here, Casey Musgraves. They reviewed Casey Musgraves. It says right here, this week our reviewers listened to Casey Musgraves, Star-Crossed Snowy Band's Zane Carney Quartet's Alter Ego. It's like, what? Okay, that's... you guys are reviewing some weird music, man. Like country and jazz and blue. Okay. This is Mondo Jazz. They put us in their playlist. Guitar.com did a fun piece about 10 essential jazz albums to talk about Alter Ego, and his new album Alter Ego came out. Here's his favorite jazz albums. Premier Guitars did a big rundown on the music, the instruments we used. Mono Cases, they did a nice write-up on us because I used their cases, my pedal boards and all that stuff in my backpack. Tokyo Weekender had a really nice thing. They said Alter Ego's best shared with friends. It was a very sweet thing. Like, the pandemic's happening, listen to it, and imagine you're in a concert with your friends, This is absurd, and I don't agree with this, but very nice. Thrive Global, which does a lot of different things. They do reviews, they talk about mental health, this whole thing. They said I'm the Picasso of modern jazz. That's not, whatever. I mean, come on, dude. But that's a pretty cool quote, apparently. So apparently that was a cool thing. Ampeta Music, who I'd never heard of before. They're like, hey, check out Zane's new free jazz album. Oh, cool. It's like mostly free, I wouldn't call it Ornette Coleman. And there's more. Then it takes you to the concert film. So if you're like, I want to see what this band's really like, well, then you can see us, and it kind of, continues the storyline of Alter Ego being a really live record. You get to see the band actually playing it live, and as you know, we're very proud of that concert film. But so here, this is cool too. So you click here, the FYC categories, it takes you to my email list. Best Jazz Instrumental Album, and then there's a link for people to listen to that song. Best Improvised Jazz Solo, a link to listen to that. Best Instrumental Composition, Pitchfork. Mark's an incredible writer, and we had fun working on that. Best Arrangement, Instrumental or Acapella, Oleo, and then Best Engineered Album Non-Classical, mixed and mastered by Reeve Carney, my brother. Thanks for being here. I hope you had fun. I'm going to download this VOD and edit it and put up a little FYC thing. The best ending to a stream ever.